All righty. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tech Tuesday. My name is Vanessa. I'm with ITS Educational Technologies Educational Technologies Group, and today we have David Dickinson, also with the same group, and he is going to be talking about Panopto, which is one of our video storage solutions, and it has a lot of great features that you may need for your own videos. Before we get started, if you're new to Tech Tuesday, welcome. If you're not new, if you've been here before, also welcome. We're happy to have you back. But if you are new, the way the format is that if you have any questions at any point during the session, feel free to put them in the chat. We do have quite a few people registered for today's session, so just to limit any background noises, everyone is on mute. So definitely questions, just redirect them to the chat, and we'll be stopping periodically to take any questions that you might have. We're also recording today's session, so you can go back at any time and refer to things that David demonstrates during the session. That will be sent to you in a follow-up email by the end of today. I will use the email that you use to register for the session. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to David. David, thank you so much for joining us today.
No, thank you so much for having me. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. Once again, my name is David Dickinson. I have been in video production since about 2002. I've been in education since about 2011. I have a bachelor's in communication, I have a master's in interactive multimedia design, and I have an educational specialist degree, which is a terminal degree. It's essentially everything but a dissertation because that's a lot of writing, and I do video stuff, not writing, so that's why I went. We are talking about Panopto. Panopto is our institutional video repository. Currently, it is the stewards, I think is the correct terminology of this, is Rob and Christina. So I will be handing out their contact information after this. So if you have any issues with it or you want more access to it, they are definitely the people to contact. But I have been using Panopto for quite a long time, and I used to be in that role. So I guess I'm an excellent person to talk about it. So really, what is Panopto? Panopto is really two things. First of all, it is a video repository. So it is an educational YouTube, if you will. Now, it does do things that YouTube doesn't do, both on a pro and con level that we'll get into a little bit. And it's also a recording app, a very useful, interesting recording app that does a lot of great things. So we'll talk about both those aspects today. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to go right into the app. There is no PowerPoint here. This is all straight demonstrations. So if you have any questions, feel free to stop, feel free to ask, but we're going to go right into all of the applications. We're going to start with the repository, what you can do with it, what you can use, both on a viewer and a producer role. So I'm going to share my screen. And we're going to go right into it. So this is our landing page, our splash page of Panopto. So as you can see right from the very top, it's branded Weill Cornell Medicine. It's powered by Panopto. Up top here is my information. This is sort of what my roles are. Your roles will vary depending on what you have. You probably won't be an administrator, but you will be definitely a viewer. That's the role everybody has. And then a couple of different roles depending on what you are, what you're asked to do, what you would like to do, sort of go from there. Our address is weillcornell.hosted.panopto.com. If you don't remember that, again, you can either just Google Weill Cornell Medicine Panopto, it'll come up. It's on a couple of landing pages, and we'll be sending out a couple of sort of user guides as this session ends. So right off the bat, you can kind of see what everybody can see, what is open, and we'll talk about different sort of rights and what videos can be shared with, but sort of what everybody can see. So all hands is always available. So, but these are just sort of the videos that everybody that's open for us to see. You also, like, I have my folder. If you have a folder or you deemed to want a folder, we can create that for you, but you can have a folder to what you can share, and I can kind of show you some stuff. So like I said, it is like the educational YouTube. It can do some things, some things that YouTube can't do. So we'll talk about that kind of stuff right now. So let's say you want to, you want to upload your video, you want to create. So we want to go to create, right? And we want to upload our media. So right now I'm going to have a video to upload. And I'm going to grab one right off my desktop. I'm using a different screen so you don't see all the ridiculous things that I have to upload. And I'm going to upload this this random video. So you can drag and drop it. You can also click it and it kind of uploads. Again, this speed of upload really depends on how big your video is, how fast your internet connection is, and all the good stuff. But it usually happens pretty quickly. While that's doing it, I can bring in another tab of Wild Cornell Panopto and talk about some other wonderful facts about Panopto. Yep. Panopto will ask you for your CWID. It will do dual authentication, and that's really important going on of some of the rights and protections the video can happen of some things why some protections the videos we have, some rights, I guess is the best word. Okay, so this is almost done, and I can show you a couple other things that we can do it. So you can see it's being uploaded, it's being done. Let me bring in another folder. So some of the good things that you can do, let me look in some of the other folders. We can look at something that's already created, right? So this is a video that's already been uploaded. And what's really interesting about this video is this is two different things being brought together. So this is something that YouTube can't do. So this is a video recording of a lecture taking place in Weill Cornell. And this automatically syncs your PowerPoint presentation with your video. So this is I've created lecture videos for a very long time. It used to take hours and hours and hours to link the PowerPoint screens to the PowerPoint screens of the lecture. And this is something that Panopto does. It syncs it automatically. So it's really helpful. And when we talk about the recording app, we can kind of show you how that done, but how that works really simple when we switch over to that app. But as I can see, this is the repository. This is a video player, and we're seeing multiple screens. So again, this is something that YouTube won't do for you. This will show you multiple screens. So we're looking at the person, the instructor instructing, and we're also seeing the information on the screen. This is really good when we're talking about communications. We're talking about the nonverbals we're getting from the instructor, and we're also getting the content that's being presented on the screen. When I'm looking at this view in the Panopto player, this changes a little bit when we embed it to other places. We'll talk about that when we get there. But when we look at this as it's embedded into the Panopto player, we have a couple of options. Let's say I care really more about what the instructor is saying. I can flip these views, and I can see this view as the instructor as a bigger screen and the content smaller. This makes sense if there's not a lot going on in the PowerPoint screens at the moment. There's really more of a physical demonstration being shown. And if we go back because the PowerPoints are now becoming more important, I can flip this back. So it really gives that user the ability to kind of experience the way that user wants to experience it. We also have speed control, so you can watch it 1 times, 2 times faster. 1.5 can play that speed. We can slow it down. So if there's, again, a demonstration we want to see, we can do that as well. We can alter the quality. It's usually set at automatic, but if your internet slow is going down, you can do that as well and have some basic play controls. The other great thing is we can turn on captions. This has an automatic generated caption control, which really helps out, especially for ADA compliance. Now, Panopto will tell you it has about a 90% accuracy rate when creating these auto-generated captions. But we find, especially when we're talking about medical jargon, that really comes down to about 50% really when we get into the weeds of medical jargon. So there are some great options we can do once we're got our video done. So once our video is uploaded, you're going to see that it's processing. Processing, again, is doing all the things I just showed you. It's creating those PowerPoint slides if there's PowerPoints. It's creating those captions if there's captions. And it's doing a lot of those kind of fun stuff. Let's see. Let me grab another video that's already done, so I don't mess with any video this is a real video that students have access to, so I don't want to play with it more than just show you sort of the complexity of it. I was hoping that this video would be uploaded to kind of show you like a live thing, but I guess my internet's like the processing power is a little slow. So let me just show you another video that was done. So this is a video, right? This Education Excellence Reward is a different cut for a version, right? So you can give different cuts and actions for it, fun stuff. But let me show you some of the things it can do. So in the settings, right, we have a couple different options we can play here. Now this video is up, it's live, but we don't care about it because this is long since past. Some fun things we can do right off the top is we can constantly change its title. So like, let's say this is cut 4, it's the 4th version of this video. This is now accepted. I can very quickly, very easily drop that. And now it is accepted, right? I'm just gonna do 4 because I don't know if there's a real one that exists, right? Just like any good repository, there's a very strong folder structure. So this one is in my test folder, which is in my regular folder, which is under the ETG folder. So you can really categorize and organize your folder structures. And this really becomes important for permission's sake that we'll talk about literally in the next, in this share window. So you can set permissions in via the individual video or the subfolder or the folder, depending on how you want people to view and have access to your folders. There's a viewer link. There's a preview image, right? This is a great opportunity because this preview image is awful. It's just a gray bar, right? That's not good at all. No one's going to enjoy that. That's not enticing for anybody to watch your video. And what it does is it randomly grabs one of the first few seconds of the video and generates this. You can quickly edit this, upload your own snazzy, fancy video, and it will change that preview image, making it really more telling of what the video is really about. You can allow discussions so people can comment on your video. Again, this is much like YouTube. You can create or edit a description. There's none here because it wasn't needed. Some quicker, funner stuff here as well. And availability. This is really important too. Most of the times you just want it to exist and be open forever. But there might be times where it's time sensitive. You don't want a video to be released into a certain date, and you only want that video to live for a certain amount of time. For whatever reason, that video might have a shelf life. You can set those dates here. You can say this date, I want this date to turn on, to be available on a certain date, a certain time, and I want it to go away. So that video will appear during that time, and then it will go away during that time as well. So there's some really interesting settings you can do to really manipulate when and where you want this video. Like I've been talking about a couple of times, permissions. This is really what separates Panopto from really putting your stuff on YouTube. YouTube is great. If you think I'm taking shots on YouTube or being a little negative to YouTube, YouTube is wonderful. But there's really an old saying in the communication field that says the medium is the message. And medium is just the plural word for media. And really what that's saying is where you put your video is part of the message, right? So YouTube is great if you're putting on a video that you want many people to see that is entertaining in nature. Most of the time when you're putting something in Panopto, that is not the case. You're doing it for educational reasons. You're doing it because you want certain groups to see it, certain academic groups to see it. So this is where you can control it. You can get so finite that you can have only certain people see it. So I can go in and anybody with a CWID, I can put their CWID in and only that person can see it. Or I can change it to my organization, which means anybody with a CWID can see it and then they can look for it. What does it mean to look for it? It means it will appear on this homepage and then they can search for it, right? So, this scientific paper writing, it appears on the homepage, someone can put their search in, they can find it, right? I can also put it on my organization unlisted. That means I can share that link or embed that link into anything with anybody in my organization that's behind that's still protected behind that CWID, but no one can search for it and it won't appear in that that window. No one can find it. They need to basically have that link to get it. Public unlisted is the same thing where you can't find it, but if you have the link, you can watch it. Only thing is public is it's not behind that protected that CWID. So if someone outside your organization needs to see it and you're comfortable with people possibly sharing the link and being a little less protective, that's a great option to go. And public is literally free for all. Anybody can see it. It's all good. It's everywhere. So these are different times you can do it. You can also, again, like YouTube, you can also start at certain times. So, if you only want to show 30 minutes into an hour and a half presentation, you can start it. You can start in 30 minutes and copy the link from there. Outputs, right? This is the Panopto viewer. So we can kind of view the session. This is what it looks like. Video podcast, this is slightly mislabeled. This is just a little pet peeve that I have. This is not technically a podcast. Podcast refers to only audio. It's really more of a video vodcast. but it just, might be just, being a little too nitpicky on my part. Essentially, this is what it looks like when you embed it into different places. So if you're embedding it into a Drupal site, for instance, this is the way it's going to look like. It's going to have this dual window that you're not going to be able to flop because you're not viewing it through the Panopto player. Let's see, a quick end question. Okay, looks like it was answered. Great. Okay, so if you're going to embed it without the Panopto player, you can set how you want them to look. In this current video, there's no need for that second window, so I can change this to primary video only, and then I don't have to have that second window for no reason. If there is definitely a need for that second window, I can choose which one I think is more important. Maybe the secondary window is more important with my side-by-side, or maybe I want them all to be equal. So I can kind of pick the ones I kind of want to view. So right now I'm going to leave it primary only because I think that's the right one. You can also pick which how you want it to be expressed, depending on how you think the stream speed will be, and then you can hit apply. You can also download just the audio if it's just a podcast. You can it will show up in the podcast view if you download it. You can also set whether or not you want people to have the right to download it or not. So you can turn on downloads and it will be downloaded in the podcast view. But you can also block people from downloading. That's part of the share settings as well. Quiz results. I can talk about quizzes when we talk about editing in a second. Collaborate with can services collaborate with us to record conferences, meetings? Yes, they can. You can contact event services for collaborations. This is owned by event services. This is their product, so they can help you absolutely with that. Let's see, quiz results. If you have quiz results, they will show up here. We'll talk about building quizzes in a second. Streams are different things you can add. You can also add presentation documentaries, PDFs that go along with it. You can also add, this is the video that went into it. So it's just a couple of different technical things, but again, you can add some content there as well. These aren't really that big of a deal. Here are the captions. So these are captions informations that they were automatically created. Here's your audio descriptions. Again, not that big of a deal. And here's just a way you can manage it as well. You can move, copy, do some different sort of interesting things as well. You can delete it, archive it, and some logs, some technical stuff. I'm sure you probably won't get too much in those weeds. One of the more interesting things you can do, which really separates Panopto from other media players, is you have a really great editing solution here. This isn't a really fancy editing solution. You won't be able to do all the crazy things you can do with like Adobe Premiere or anything along those lines. This is really designed to be a no-kill, simplified editing solution. So a no-kill just really means you're never going to actually delete anything. You're just going to prevent it from playing. So when we're going to show you, so hopefully in the last 10 minutes, we're going to show you the two recording applications that Panopto provides you. But with that, typically you hit record, it takes you a quick couple of minutes to kind of set your PowerPoints up and all that good stuff. And there's a sort of a delay. So you're going to probably want to cut the beginning and the end out of your content. So instead of having to go into an editing software, cut it out, export it out, upload the clean version, you can take this video playhead, you can drag it along, and anything that's covered with this gray, the video is just going to kind of skip. So if I hit play, it just skips right past that. So you can do that in the beginning and you can do that at the very end, cutting the sort of time it takes you to create those. You can also, randomly doing in the middle, cutting off a couple of things. Let's say you say something that was accurate in 2002, but is now no longer accurate in 2003. You can cut that part off as well. And again, it just skips that. Again, the beautiful thing is if it now becomes accurate again, you can come and take it away and the content itself doesn't leave. You can also edit the captions. Like I said, it's 90% accurate unless you're talking about jargon. So let's say he says, he doesn't really say hello, he says something else. So he says else, you can go right in and change it. And then it saves and saves time. It's a very easy way to fix it. Quizzes are really, really great. They're not specific, they're not really designed to be a big time, test your knowledge, really see if you learn the content. They're really designed for engagement purposes. So we'll do one really quickly. This will be a true and false. You can let it play on, or you can stop the video. It's really more to bring the person into the content and sort of engage them. As we know, as we start to educate really adults, one of the things we find is most important is really to get that active learning, that engaging learning, really make sure they're not just sitting back and letting the content wash over them, that we do as much as we can to bring them into the content. And this is one of the ways we can do that. Force them to pay attention, force them to stop what they're doing, force them to get into it. And this is one of the ways we can do that. So if we did a really simple one, again, just to learn, 1 + 1 equals that large number that doesn't exist because there's R's in there for some reason. Obviously, that's false. Obviously, that's false. And we can either add more questions or we can say we're done. Once we're done, we have a couple of choices. We can allow viewers to retake it. We can show their grade. We can allow them, to explain their answers. But really, this is my favorite one. We should again block the advancement. So if I apply this, it's going to play up until this point. So it looks like we added it at 32 seconds. So let's just change that because we don't want that to be 32 because it's frozen. Yeah, so it's just the start. So let's say, we have moved that at 5 minutes. It would have stopped it at 5 minutes, asked you that question, moved on. So you can sparse that out throughout the whole video. It will randomly stop, ask you that question. It collects that data as well, and you can do a couple of different things with it. As well. Here's the cuts, and we talked about streams. You can also add streams post if you want to add another camera angle, another video. You can also add that in post. So there's a lot of really interesting things you can do in this editing thing. I'm gonna not apply these. Also, it also doesn't do anything until you apply, so you may have to make sure you apply. You can also delete your video. It doesn't delete off the servers until 6 months. One time, someone accidentally deleted a video. 5 months and 29 days, they needed the video, and we were able to pull it off and recover it right before it permanently deleted. So there's a lot of really great things as well. There's a really good connection too for Canvas. If you're a Canvas user, you can connect your videos directly to Canvas. So anything you put in your Canvas course, all the protections of that, all the permissions of that course are linked to Canvas, linked to Panopto. So all the students are available to watch all the videos, all those permissions linked up. And if you can quickly embed it with a plugin, instead of having to copy the embed code and put the embed code in the rich text editor. So it's a step it's easier to do. And when you're copying the course over from one year to the next, instead of having to update all the links, all you have to, it will automatically be able to update all the videos because they're copying over that a Panopto folder as well, instead of having to go again copy all the links. So if you have 37 videos, it's 37 less steps. So there's an excellent connection to Canvas, as well as a great connection to Zoom as well. There's a way to connect your Zoom account to be able to record your Zoom via the cloud and have it end up into your Panopto folder to be able to be saved and pushed out. So if you're doing a hybrid class and you want to record that and have it saved in your Panopto, there's a way to do that as well. Okay, so moving on. I said Panopto is two things, and it's a repository and it's a recording app. So it is a recording app. The recording app is wonderful. There's two types of apps. Oh, let me bring that back up so that I can show you this and how to get to it. Excellent education. So let me go back to here. If you want to get the app, you have to become a creator or a producer. I forget the exact terminology. Again, that's where you'll get Rob and Christina's contact information. They're the people, they'll make sure you're hooked up with that. But you'll get this little create button. So if you don't see this create button, again, you have to reach out, make sure you get the right connections. We're gonna say it's gonna say Panopto for Mac if you're on a Mac. I'm currently on a Mac. But it's going to open. You're going to see that you have one for Panopto, one Panopto for Mac, and then there's two for Windows. If you're Windows, know if you're on 64 or 32. But I'm going to open the one for Panopto, which I already have on my screen. So the one for Panopto. So once you open Panopto for a Mac, it's going to ask you again to sign in, again, probably going to ask your duo, and then you start with a new recording. Oh, I changed on my settings, so all that good stuff. Do, 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 do. Okay. Okay, let me shut it down and restart it because Mac is super protective. Okay. There it is. Okay, so this is what a session looks like on a Mac. Again, it's very different on a PC. I can show you that in 1 second, but this is what it looks like. This is your recorder. Again, it was recording the screen. There's a couple things that just really note about what's going on here. First thing you want to note is where it's going. Currently, right now, it's going in my folder. It can go in a couple different places. I'm an admin, so I have access to everything. You won't have access to all these folders. You'll only have access to what you have access to. So it'll probably be your folder. If you remember nothing else, literally nothing else about what I'm about to tell you, remember this: change the name of the setting. It automatically defaults to the exact date and time, right? So if 6 people around this time don't change the name, there'll be 6 videos named Tuesday, September 20th, 2022 at 12:25, 12:26, 12:27, 12:28, right? So it'll get confusing which video is yours. So just, test name, just give it something. You can always change the name later, just give it something relevant to you. Down here in the primary source, this is that primary source. This is what people are going to see up and to the left. This is like typically what the speaker is going to be. It usually defaults to your video. Choose the web camera you have. Sometimes you only have one if you're using a laptop. Sometimes you have 2. If you have a better camera and a laptop, you can kind of go back and forth to what you use. Your audio, if you have a better microphone, so if you're using like a Blue Snowball or some sort of other USB microphone, just make sure you select it. So you're not using the default microphone on your laptop. Typically, you're using the camera, the camera's microphone or the default. That's fine. It's the only thing there. Just make sure you're seeing the audio go. Down here is slides. This is a little bit confusing. It says record PowerPoint, record Keynote, right? This doesn't mean that it's going to record your actual PowerPoint the way you think it's going to record. What it's going to do is take snapshots every single time you turn your PowerPoint, go from one slide to another. What it does is it takes a snapshot, kind of records what time you've made that change, and it links that PowerPoint screenshot up until that change. So it builds this sort of navigational system, this navigation through your video. So when your user is watching it, they can kind of click through the video based on those PowerPoints. It's really interesting. It's really great. It saves a ton of time editing, but it will not record like your animations. It won't record your transitions. It won't do those kind of things. So this secondary screen, which typically is your main screen, but if I have dual monitor, so it's telling me I have 2 choices between my secondary 1, my secondary 2. So my secondary 1, right? I have 2 monitors. This is where you want to play your PowerPoint, right? So you want to make sure you're screen recording your actual PowerPoint. And if you have 2 monitors or using a laptop and a second monitor or 2 monitors on a desktop, and you use PowerPoint in presentation mode, you want to make sure that this main secondary source is your non-presenting mode. So you're not seeing your notes down here. You're not seeing your slide time. You're not seeing what's next. You're seeing what is being presented. So that just gives you that really great thing. Once you're ready to do that, you're going to hit record. Now I'm actually recording. I'm saying my spiel, I'm doing my thing, everything's great. What a wonderful lecture I'm giving. I'm changing lives. I'm blowing minds with my great presentation skills. And then I stop. Once I'm stopped, if I'm good with it, again, I have a different name. I have a different opportunity to change the name. So if I forget to do it again, I have to do it here because I don't want 30 different names with the date, time. I don't want that. Test. You can do a description if you want. If you hate it, you know you messed up, you want to do it completely again, you can delete it. If you're wonderful, you think it's great, you can upload it and you can end it uploads. In this screen, again, now uploading, the speed is how fast your internet speed is and how quick the video was. You can either, and it's processing again, you can click here to manage if you want to, or you can go back to your the video to Panopto and you can see your recordings. So that's what it looks like on Mac. If you were to download it on PC, you'll see that it does the same exact thing. It just looks completely different. Why does it look different? I have no idea, but it does. You saw the same concept up top where this is your folder. You can choose your folder. Again, please change the name. That's 2 if you want. Here again, you can still pick your thing, but it's not defaulted for some reason. You can try kind of pick it on, pick it off. You choose your microphone, and here's one of the bigger changes. You can choose what standard you want: high, ultra standard. I've tested these. I haven't seen much of a difference, but when I have the opportunity, I always put it at the highest possible. If you notice your computer really slowing down, it'd be a good opportunity to change it, but I've not done it. Capturing computer audio, if I bring back the Panopto on the Mac, and I go back to recording, you can see the computer audio is in beta. It still works fine, but first it's still in the beta for here, but you can see for the Windows version, it is not in beta. So I'm not sure, but that's an interesting difference. So again, the idea, if you want to use audio, if you're playing a video in your PowerPoint, if you have any kind of sound in your PowerPoint, that's a great thing. If you're recording your second screen for your PowerPoint, will animations play? Animations and video will play as long as you're screen recording it. Again, don't just think if you click the capture PowerPoint and not screen recorded that it will play. Those are just, again, getting those snapshots for navigation down the road. Okay, so now I have my main screen. This is search. This allows you to actually, in the PC version, open a presentation so you know you're just recording a PowerPoint. So you can open up PowerPoint and record just that. It's just, again, a little bit different than before. You can also add another video source. But other than that, everything is basically the same. Both have this webcast. Again, it's a little bit different. It allows you to sort of create a webcast, which is more of a live stream kind of situation. So you have the ability to do that as well. The only real main difference between the two, if I get both of them sort of side by side, which doesn't, let me turn this video off. The only main difference between the two is that there's an ability, especially if you're doing, like, if you're creating your own sort of lecture that is not on your computer, you're going somewhere, so you might be using like a webcam, but you're in a classroom setting. There is an app for the Apple series, so whether it's your iPad or your iPhone, that works as a secondary camera that works really, really well. So you download the app, you link to the session. So this session would be like test 3. And then you can join that session. So I can look here, I can hit join that session. I'm on that session. I can record with multiple cameras. So I can have one iPad, one phone, and one main webcam, and really have like a 3-camera setup shooting this big presentation that I'm recording later, that's going to be available on Panopto. There is an app for Windows. It's a remote controller app. It controls the start and stop remotely of the recording, but there's no Android version of multiple camera use for the Panopto. I think it has to do with the open source technology of Android system being different than the closed source technology of the Apple system. That's a hunch. I didn't go too far in the weeds with it. I apologize. But essentially, if you have Apple products and you're using an Apple to record it, you can have a multiple camera system using that Apple. So those are it. If I jump back now to my recording, now I can see that's complete. If I open it up in my recordings, I can see that it is here. It is open. It's everything I can do. I can edit it. I can do everything I want with it. But currently, I'm going to delete it. And then I'm also going to delete this one because there's no need for me to use it. And that is essentially a crash course in Panopto. There's been a couple of questions. I think most of them have been answered. But if anybody has any more, I'm happy to open the floor and field any more Panopto questions. What do you mean for particulars? If you're talking about asking event services to partner with a sort of an event that you're recording, or you mean just using Panopto, just getting the ability to to use Panopto as a video repository to record video? Um, okay, so Rob took care of that. Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Rob. Well, hello, you. How are you doing? Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you all.
And just as a reminder, I know that questions might be getting typed up right now in the chat, but if you were late to the session, I just wanted to remind everybody that I will be following up with a recording of this session, so you can refer back to it, as well as links to our Panopto site and, support guides about how to use it. So any questions that we might not answer in this session, you will at least have access to a ton of help and support of how to use it by the end of today. Oh, it looks like you just got one from Robert.
Great. I don't think it's difficult at all. I think it's a couple of steps. Yeah, I think it was pretty simple. I think it's like a connection or two. So again, I think Rob, I mean, help me out, but I think it's as easy as making an IT request, and then it's some connection here or there.
Any other questions before we wrap up? I'll give it maybe another few seconds. Looks like we're getting some thanks in. So, oh, and Rob answered, yes, Zoom sessions are commonly recorded via Panopto to help. Well, Rob to Robert. Sorry, lots of Robs in the chat today. But it looks like the questions are dwindling down a bit. Thank you, everybody, for attending today's session. And thank you to David so much for showing us the basics of Panopto. Again, I'll be sending up a follow-up email later today with any helpful links and this recording. But if anything comes up while you're using Panopto, or something maybe you forgot to ask in the session, just feel free to reach out to the support lines that we provide, and we're happy to help. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks, David.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Bye, everyone.